8:45, we can go ahead and get started. All right. Richard Smith here with Calibre Home Inspections, inspecting homes and protecting dreams. We're 25, 26-year-old inspection company, engineer directed, and we are here to answer any questions that you have. We open this up to everybody. Sometimes we don't get someone to join us, so we might go through some information that would be helpful. I've got home maintenance tips that you can get from my website. It's what I use to maintain my house. And we might just kind of wait a minute or two and see if anybody shows up. But Alexis, did you have any questions?
Did I have any questions? You mean like questions that come up during the week? Maybe?
Yeah, we had that one lady, someone called about a comment that I made in an inspection report about the receptacle at the kitchen. All receptacles at the kitchen need to be GFI protected. They had made it such back in the late 90s, they had just created the GFI protection 6 feet away from a sink area, which kind of makes sense. If you can be touching the water and playing with a receptacle at the same time, then you might get shocked. But they required all the countertops and all the island tops to be GFI protected. Then back about 3 or 4 years ago, they required that the receptacle for the refrigerator be GFI protected. And that came with a lot of resistance because GFI receptacles trip often, and you could lose groceries or medicines or something in the refrigerator that is of value that needs to stay refrigerated. So there is I can't really, on a new construction inspection, I can't really put it on there as a defect or a code issue. If it is protected, if it's not protected, it's a code issue, but my preference is that I would not protect it with a GFI receptacle. It's not very likely I'm going to be standing in water and unplugging my refrigerator at the same time.
I have a story about GFI receptacles that I didn't know the importance of them
Yeah,
until
go ahead.
relatively recently. Okay, so Rylan, so he's about to be 11. He was probably 3, 4 months old at this point. And we were staying at an extended stay hotel over in Jackson, Mississippi. And it was really, really nice. Well, the sink, I don't know. It was really, really weird. Well, I'm trying to fill up this pot of water and I hear something. I don't remember what I heard. I don't know if Rylan was screaming or what, but I dropped the pot and water went everywhere. And all you heard was pops and crackles and everything. And I like panicked. I took my child and I ran outside and I stood outside. I was like, the house or the hotel's gonna burn down. It's gonna be my fault. But I didn't know what that was because I mean I didn't know. Anyway, I am so appreciative of the GFI receptacles.
Yeah, oh yeah, they stop the current when you have current that goes through a supply and a return, and then it charges something at the receptacle, so you can turn on a blender or a light or whatever. And if the current isn't going through properly and it actually diverts towards ground, which is meaning that something is going wrong at the receptacle and current is being pulled off and not being used, then it's going to ground. But instead of going to ground, it actually cuts off any current. So it can't go to ground, it can't go to the positive or negative. You can't get shocked or electrocuted, which is Good. Now there
What
is
an
a,
amazing invention that is.
oh, it
Like,
is. Yeah,
that's
it's
great.
magic. I call it all magic.
Yeah, there
Um,
you go.
so there are now arc faults also that kitchen need to be arc fault and GFI protected. The bedrooms need to be arc fault protected, but not necessarily GFI protected.
What's the
And
difference? Like, what is art fault?
arc fault is in the event an arc happens, and that is the positive jumps to the negative without anything, without any conductivity, whether it be going to a piece of equipment or a light or something, or it's not going to ground, it's arcing past the connection, then the current will pop. It'll trip the breaker and
So
it'll
it's like what
stop.
you see in the movies, like where I don't remember if it's like in a Ghostbuster movie or what, but you see like the electrical kind of jump
Yeah,
around the thing.
yeah, sure. The best way to explain it is if you have, let's say, a coffee pot, one of those plug-in type coffee pot, it boils water, and you pull it, you unplug it while it's on. So current's trying to go through and you unplug it, and the current will actually jump and spark sometimes. And that is an arc and it will trip the breaker. And you can, if you go to your electrical box and push the little test buttons. There's tiny little test buttons on there, and it trips. From what I understand, I haven't done the engineering behind it, but what the engineers tell us that is if it does trip, then it is wired properly and it's working properly. So that's what I do on new construction when there is no one living in the house. Then I will trip all the breakers. I'll trip all the GFIs. I'll trip all just to make sure. It's amazing. Every once in a while, you just get a bad breaker and it's not tripping properly. And if you have this so-called protection, you want it working. So we make sure everything on an inspection that works is supposed to work. But back to the refrigerator. The refrigerator has this uh, GFI receptacle, and it could be a dedicated receptacle, or it can even be in series with a countertop receptacle. So if you're running your blender and it trips and you're done with your blender, your refrigerator's out and you don't know it. You open up your refrigerator and, oh, my light just burned out. That stinks. Now I don't have it. I'll get to that. And then next day, I'll get to that. Hey, the milk isn't so cold. Hey, look at everything's defrosted. And it just, so what I have found, it's a cute little gadget, and I'll eventually put it on my website somewhere, probably in resources. It's a rechargeable battery receptacle extender. And what you do is you plug it into your receptacle and it has a chime. And if current is going, you turn it on, and then if current is going through that receptacle or that little gadget, I don't know what you call it, then if current is going through, then it won't do anything. But if you turn the switch off or the breaker trips and there's no current going through that, then there would be an audible alarm. So you plug your refrigerator into that, and you know, as long as it's not chirping or little siren or whatever it does, then then you know your refrigerator's at least plugged in and powered. So I imagine once that becomes popular, I imagine the high end builders are going to leave those with um, or make a receptacle that does that. If current's not going through the receptacle, then as in it trips, there'll be an audible alarm.
I mean,
I don't
that's a
know.
big money saver. in a
Sure.
lot of ways.
And it's more, I don't, you go beyond the hundreds of dollars you could lose from uh, meat that's frozen in your freezer or what you have in your refrigerator that you're going to lose for the next day. You have medicines that may need to be
Mhm.
refrigerated.
Yeah.
You have mother's milk that
Mhm.
you just can't replace instantly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is, and I don't know where the lawsuit can land, but I just see it coming. I just see a lot of people getting upset and people. So I always suggest that when I have my client there. And I explained that to my client yesterday, and she was real happy to hear that. I said, it's nothing I can tell the builder to do, but because the way he did it was proper, it was actually, yesterday's was actually in series with the countertop. So if you have a little night light on your receptacle there and you use your blender and you unplug your blender and it trips the breaker, your night light goes out, and then you don't have power in your refrigerator. So there's different ways you can do it, but you have to really understand the way you're actually wired in the kitchen. It's always something. But there
But
are,
that just sounds like general home maintenance is to get that little test to put on there.
yeah, the little
You
kit.
know, it's yeah,
I don't know.
along with
I
the
gotta get
water
them.
kit we talked about the fridge.
Yeah, yeah, refrigerator's nemesis to the house. Um, that's the other little gadget, little moisture sensor with an audible alarm saying you got a little leak at your ice maker line. But it's just little gadgets and little things like this that uh, give you peace of mind. Sometimes people are real worried. I don't even run an ice maker anymore. But I don't have one of those little power strip buttons. I personally don't need it. My house is older than 4 years. So it was a code for a while before they actually even started doing it. And there are people in the what do you call it? In the electrical industry that are lobbyists that are trying to lobby to have all of the receptacles GFI and arc fault protected. So everything will be arc fault, everything will be GFI, and everything will be a lot more expensive to make. And a receptacle instead of it or a breaker. Well, it depends where they put the um, safety. If it's at the receptacle, it's one cost, and if they put it at the breaker, it's another. But a receptacle can vary from $1 to $10. So it's a lot. That's a lot. But we have the maintenance tips that you can get from my website. We can go over those, but time is up. We're trying to keep this to 15 to 20 minutes and move on with our day. If you have any questions, remember, we are here to answer any questions. Some of this may be on our resources page under little videos. So you can go there also and look at old ones. And I believe you can search also for topics. They'll be listed on what topic it is. This is going to be refrigerator receptacle. That's what we'll call it. All right. So have a nice day and looking forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks. All right. Bye.